Hello lovely people, my name is Emma and today I'm bringing you a double whammy 2-book review, and this time we're talking about 2 books about numbers, mathematics, statistics and how bad people are at actually understanding numbers. So the 2 books I have to talk about are Humble Pie and Weapons of Maths Destruction. Both of these are pop mathematics books that I think are really accessible and surprisingly fast-paced and easy to read, despite the fact that they are indeed about mathematics. And I know for a lot of people out there, maths is kind of a scary subject that we hate in school and then avoid in our adult lives. Humble Pie by Matt Barker is actually specifically about more generally about the ways and kind of quirks of mathematics that are quite difficult for our brains to understand intuitively, and the way that this can lead to common errors within mathematics that have very big dramatic repercussions in the day-to-day life. So this one goes far more generally. It covers things like building databases and sort of statistical analysis, and the way that, you know, people often use Excel as a database even though it's not really designed for that, and the many errors that result because of this, including things like default dates and sort of settings on that, the way that we code binary and how it understands the actual calendar dates and the problems that we're going to run into for that and have run into in the past, given just like the space of encoding, and also things like structural engineering and the way that sort of accounting for people's footsteps in bridges and sort of the natural rhythms and movements that occur from people moving over them, and how there are some bridges out in the world that armies are banned from marching in step across because they're actually going to cause structural damage to them. This is just a quick snippet of a bunch of the really cool information that you're going to get to learn about in Humble Pie, and like I said, it's incredibly accessible and also really funny. A lot of dad joke kind of energy Matt Barker is bringing to this, and I think it's a wonderful starting place if you're somebody who is fascinated by the world of numbers but really doesn't understand them and has no idea where we're going. It kind of doesn't assume any baseline amount of knowledge. It gives you just the little bits that you need to understand that chapter and sort of the relevance of a lot of what it's talking about, without expecting you to, you know, have in-depth university level understandings of any mathematical concepts. The next book I want to talk about is Weapons of Maths Destruction by Cathy O'Neill. This is a similar kind of energy to Humble Pie, hence why I'm putting them in the same video, but instead is more specifically focused on algorithms and kind of the black box learning, black box thinking that is occurring within our world, and the way that we are trying to automate various processes and things, and the fact that it is building in our implicit, or in some cases explicit, biases, and how it's going to lead to more inequality in the long run. So this is covering everything from kind of job applications to health statistics to incredibly concerning things like if people get let out on bail, or like recidivist concepts in prisons, and how often databases and algorithms built to understand those databases have implicit biases built in based on the information that we give them. And the problem with a lot of these algorithms being that there is nobody actually being able to go in and check whether they are correct or not, so there isn't like a feedback loop that is actually trustworthy, and instead the machine will just constantly keep reporting to itself that it is doing the correct thing. So this can be talking about like people's credit scores and things like that. I personally didn't enjoy this as much as Humble Pie. I think Humble Pie is the better, more accessible book. One of my main problems with Weapons of Maths Destruction is that it was entirely American focused, and I think it would have been more interesting to look at global issues and sort of legislation in different countries, given that for a lot of these things, like technology is a global thing, and it did discuss things like Google, Facebook, LinkedIn, things like that like again people use on a global scale, and presumably the algorithms are like there is probably a general algorithm that impacts everybody, so to refer exclusively to American legislation was quite frustrating, especially given the end of the book did talk about our data privacy and data protection, and reference things like the EU and GDPR, which is a privacy regulation that is in effect in the UK, that presumably does change some of the regulations around it. But it would have been interesting to know how that impacts the things, because America isn't the only country and you're not the only readers, which seems to always be a problem in the pop whatever non-fiction world that you're talking about. It is, however, incredibly interesting, and if you don't know much about systemic bias, it's something which I think would be quite surprising for you. A lot of it touched on areas that I already knew quite a lot about because of coming across them in podcasts or other books, but if you're looking at me very blankly going, what the hell do you mean that there are algorithms for job applications or credit scores, and what is this implicit bias thing that you're talking about, I think this book would be a really good place to start and get a load of information about kind of the way that tech and objective sciences can still bump into a lot of our preconceived ideas. So those are two books about maths and the way that human beings can get maths wrong in particular. So if you're looking for recommendations in the area, I would check these two out. Do you have any other maths recommendations for me, and would you like a general video on maths, physicsy kind of books? I don't think I quite have enough to do a full video yet, but if you're interested in that, please do let me know in the comments down below, and I can bear that in mind for my future reading and sort of shuffle things around on TBRs to be able to prioritize getting that kind of content out. So yeah, like I said, please leave me recommendations of a similar vein in the comments down below. I'm really enjoying reading more about maths and physics, and I want to know what you think I should check out next. Have a wonderful reading week, and I'll chat to you soon. Bye.